They don't control you by accident. They study you first. They observe the way you think, the way you react, the way you break, and the way you heal. They pay attention to what scares you, what softens you, what makes you doubt yourself. And once they understand the blueprint of your mind, they don't need to force anything. They simply pull the right thread and watch the whole structure collapse. This is how psychological predators operate. They don't want your body, your money, or your time first. They want access to your patterns, because once they know how you think, they can control how you feel. And when they control how you feel, they control you. In this video, we're going to explore how manipulators study your emotions, your fears, and your habits. Not to understand you, but to weaponize you against yourself, because the most dangerous control doesn't come from someone who overpowers your mind. It comes from someone who knows it better than you do. And once you see how they do it, you won't fall for it again. It always begins quietly, not with control, with curiosity. They watch how you respond to discomfort. They notice how quickly you rush to fix tension. They listen to the way your voice changes when you feel misunderstood. They ask questions that feel innocent, but they're not trying to know you. They're mapping you. They pay attention to what makes your eyes soften, what kinds of stories make you tear up, what memories make your shoulders drop and your voice crack. They look for your emotional seams, the places where you're most likely to bend to protect someone else. They notice the values you carry like sacred things: loyalty, kindness, patience, honesty, and then they test them. They push just a little, cancel a plan, snap at you, withdraw suddenly, just to see how fast you forgive, how much you explain yourself, how desperate you are to restore harmony. Every reaction you give becomes a piece of data. Every moment you try to prove your intentions becomes proof of how you can be controlled. They're not reading your mind, they're watching your heart and learning how to use it as a lever, because once they discover what hurts you, they also discover how to steer you. Every person has emotional buttons. Some are obvious: anger, jealousy, fear. But the most powerful ones are subtle: the need to be understood, the fear of disappointing someone, the instinct to keep peace at any cost. And manipulators don't guess those buttons. They discover them, patiently, quietly, one emotional test at a time. They push, gently at first. A comment that stings, but you let it slide. A moment where they ignore your feelings and you swallow it to avoid conflict. A promise they break, and instead of holding them accountable, you try to be reasonable. That's when they know. They recognize the soft spots, not the ones you show the world, but the ones you hide inside your silence. They pay attention to the tremor in your voice when you feel misunderstood, the hesitation in your eyes when you want to say no, the way you take the blame just to make tension disappear faster. To them, your vulnerability is not something to protect. It's something to exploit. They don't need to overpower you. They only need to trigger emotions you don't yet know how to control. Maybe you fear abandonment, so they pull away just enough to make you chase. Maybe you fear being seen as selfish, so they accuse you of not caring enough. Maybe you value loyalty deeply, so they frame every boundary as betrayal. And the moment your instinct becomes defending yourself instead of questioning them, they've already won. Because now the battlefield isn't between you and them, it's inside your own mind. Manipulators don't force obedience, they train it, not with commands but with reactions. Every time you respond in a way that benefits them, they reward you. A smile, a compliment, affection, a sudden softness in their voice. Your brain feels relief, safety, connection, so you do it again. Every time you stand up for yourself, question them, or set a boundary, they withdraw. They become cold. They sigh in disappointment, or they say softly, "I didn't expect this from you." And just like that, you feel guilt wash over you. Not because you were wrong, but because they taught your nervous system to associate strength with loss. That's how conditioning works. Reward the behavior that serves them. Punish the behavior that threatens their control. Over time, you stop acting from instinct and start acting from fear. Fear of disappointing them, fear of being misunderstood, fear of losing the version of them that once felt safe. You begin adjusting your tone to avoid conflict. You explain yourself before they even question you. You apologize for simply having emotions. By now, they don't need to manipulate you actively. Your nervous system does it for them. You think you're being considerate. You think you're being peaceful. But really, you're being trained. The most dangerous thing about psychological control is this. It feels like your choice. You don't realize someone else is steering you, because the voice holding you back sounds like your own. And that's when they know they've succeeded, not when you obey, but when you stop remembering what freedom felt like. There comes a moment in every manipulation cycle when the predator no longer needs to lift a finger, because now you do their work for them. You silence your own voice before it has the chance to speak. You filter your truth before it reaches the air. You rehearse your emotions, soften your tone, shrink your needs, not because they asked you to, but because your mind learned to fear the consequences of being real. You tell yourself you're being mature, understanding, patient, but deep down you know the truth. You're being careful, you're being small. You're protecting a peace that only exists when you disappear inside it. You replay conversations in your head, wondering if you sounded crazy. You search for the right words to explain what you feel, hoping this time they won't twist it into something ugly. You wait for their mood before you decide how to feel. You wait for their approval before you trust your own mind. That isn't love. That isn't connection. That is self-abandonment disguised as devotion. And here is the quiet tragedy. You start to believe the version of yourself they created. You begin to think you are dramatic, you are too sensitive, you are the problem. And with every doubt, a piece of your identity becomes theirs. This is the final stage of psychological control, when the prison is inside you and you guard the door from the inside. But here's the truth they fear the most. The same mind they conditioned is the mind that can wake up and break them. Awareness is the crack in the glass. And once you notice the fracture, that glass will never look whole again. They never owned your mind. They only convinced you to question it. That's how psychological control works. Not by overpowering you, but by slowly disconnecting you from your own truth. But once you recognize the pattern, everything shifts. That hesitation you feel before speaking, it isn't caution, it's conditioning. That heaviness in your chest when you disagree, it's not guilt, it's programming. And the quiet voice inside you that says, something isn't right. That voice is your freedom trying to wake up. You don't break this cycle by fighting them. You break it by returning to yourself, by trusting your instincts again, by believing your feelings before believing their reactions. You don't need to win an argument with them. You just need to stop losing yourself in one. Your awareness is the one thing they cannot control. And now that you see how they operate, you hold the only power that matters, the power to walk away from the version of you they built. You are not weak for being manipulated. You are strong for waking up from it. And the moment you choose your truth over their illusion, the game ends. For them, not you. Subscribe to the channel and don't stop at this video. They're still using tricks you haven't noticed yet. The next video will show you exactly how they do it, and once you see it, you'll never see people the same way again.